when I was young, like 13, my dad had told me all the time growing up that I had a sister and a brother. Would never tell me who they were, where they were, whatever. He just said, I had a sister and brother I've never met. So I said, okay. Kind of shoved it off and all that. Well, my grandmother had showed me pictures of when we were kids of my sister and my brother. And I was at my grandmother's house one day, young, I was 13 years old or so. And I kept asking her, you know, I want to meet these. Like, do you know how to get in touch with them? Because I want to see who my family is. She didn't know, but she said they live in Virginia. Her name's Amber, you know? And I was like, okay, well, that tells me nothing. So I guess I'm gonna call everybody in Virginia, you know what I mean? I'm young, so I don't know what to actually do. And this internet's very new. So I get on there, Facebook had been out, and I think I got on Virginia and went for probably weeks to every Amber through there, you know what I mean? Like every Amber, and then finally my dad was telling me that her last name was Agner. So I went through every Amber Agner, which narrowed it down significantly, you know. There was still 30 or 40 of those, unfortunately. But I narrowed it down and I started looking at the old pictures and stuff and like compared cheekbones, nose, chin, you know, all that kind of stuff. And then I would research the family, you know, like the mom, the sisters on their side, you know, all that kind of just cross-referencing everything, and finally narrowed it down to like 5 people, right? And as I narrowed it down to that, I just messaged them. I was like, hey, I might be your brother. You know what I mean? Like this might be a thing. I don't know. I might be lied to, but hey, if it is, here I am, you know? And a couple days go by, don't hear nothing. So I asked my grandma, I was like, you know, I'm getting a little worried. Like, is this even true? I might just made it to myself. And Amber, my sister, who I've met now, hit me back. She was like, actually, I have a brother down there, and my dad's name is Tommy, blah, 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 from Alabama. I was like, you might be my sister. So anyway, we got to talking back and forth, and I told my other sister about it, and she was all excited. So we went up to Virginia to meet her. And then after that, I have narrowed down and found the algorithm for finding people, you know, and then I perfected it over the years. And now when people need to be found, or say we have bondsmen all over the country, you know, every state has a bondsman with the exception of like 1 or 2. And they need people that can do that, you know, efficiently and doesn't cost an arm and a leg. So here in Alabama, we only have a handful of us that can do it. And me and a couple of my guys, like we have the science down pat to where I can find anybody on a birthday. You just hand me a birthday, and the way social media is, I can find your whole family. I can find out what you did in high school, you know, and I can go further and further back from there. But it's real easy. Like there's a bondsman down here, I'm not gonna name no names or nothing, but there's a bondsman down here that a $60,000 bond. It's one of my favorites. One of my favorite stories to tell. He had a $60,000 bond. He'd been looking for him for a hard minute. And everybody's been telling him, hey, get with TJ, get with TJ, get with TJ. And he just, no, man, I don't want to pay nobody, you know, I don't want to do that. He had a week or 2 to pay $60,000 because they could not get this man. So it narrowed it down to a couple of days. And then he finally broke down and was like, you know what, I'm either going to pay $60,000 or I'm going to pay you to find it. So he sent me the information. I was at my house when he emailed everything over. I printed it all off. I did all my cross-references. I actually found this man on Google Maps in Georgia, standing in front of his car in his driveway when that car came by. I took the picture. So in 2017, when we were looking for him, he still had the same car. He still had the same house. So I sent, you know, this was that day when he emailed everything over. So I sent all the guys over there, was 6 of them that we sent to Georgia, and we had to call a guy from Georgia to be there because you had to be licensed at the time in Georgia. So they met over there, they rode up. The house that we were looking at on Google Maps with the picture and everything on the Google car was right here, right? So this was the address that I was picking up. It was like, this gotta be it. It was actually the address behind it because of some weird thing that they do is sometimes it's off. It's actually the house behind it. So when they pull up, it's like, this looks nothing like what you just sent us. So then, you know, then it was like, all right, well, what's going on? So they looked on the other side, was like, well, there's the back porch right there. He was standing on the back porch, no shirt on, drinking a beer. So they surrounded the house. He jumps under, and blah, blah, blah. Rest of history at that point. And I texted him, and he sent it to me the day before. So that night, I texted him, I was like, got him. And I went down there, and I was like, should have called me in the first place, bro. And then he was like, I'm calling you every time from now on. And he does. Every time he needs somebody, and he'll tell all his friends too, you need somebody, call that man. And we jump on it. I saved him $60,000 that day. So when we're out working, we have 3 people that usually go out. You know what I mean? Because you got one guy that talks, and that guy is the only one that ever talks to anybody, which is what I would do. And so one of my partners now that goes with it, he does that. He's just like me in that aspect, so he's the one that does that. And which is why I've stepped back and just kind of teached from this point. So he can go up to the door and make you fall in love with everything he's saying and get so comfortable that you spill out everything that you don't want to tell nobody, and we are good at that. We are good at pulling out information. And you got one guy that goes up to the door, and then you got another guy that goes to the corner of whichever exit there is, and then the other guy goes to the back of the house. And then you don't see those other 2 guys. They're set up and hidden. Even in the daytime, like they'll either step back on the other side of the property and just kind of have a view of it, or the line of sight on the backside. If there's nothing there, they'll figure it out. There's ways, we train all the time on ways to kind of stay hidden where you can't get. And that's either getting way up on the house to where you look out the window and you ain't gonna see nobody, and we'll be right up underneath you, or right beside you, but you won't see us. It's like it's like ninja stuff. It was a guy we was looking for. He was a big meth dealer at Shelby, which was the woods up there by Lake. Big meth dealer. We looked for him for like 2 weeks. He was the one that was most elusive. He ran. And not only did he run, but he was the drug dealer for around there. He supplied all the meth and all the fun stuff, so everybody hid him, right? So county couldn't get him. No other agency would do it. And Alabaster was looking for him hard, like hard. And one of the detectives even made a bet with my partner on who was going to get him first. You know what I mean? We gonna get him first. No, we gonna get him, that kind of crap. And I'm just sitting there like, whatever, So we go to Shelby, and it is hillbilly heaven out there. We are at a place, in that place. So we go up there, and I have to rip my shirt up a little bit. I have to look grungy, And we're sitting at a gas station, and we're going through everything, and I'm in the back seat with, the 2 other guys, and then our 2 other partners are up front, and we're sitting there trying to figure out what we're gonna do. Like, we don't want to just sit in the woods and stake out the house for 2 days. Like, that's dumb. I don't want to do that, especially up here. We don't know what's out there. You know what I mean? Have you seen Deliverance? I ain't doing that. So I'm not going to be that guy. So we're sitting in the car, and then lo and behold, this truck pulls up, and I look back, and it's his girlfriend. Pulls up to get gas. So I look at my partner, I was like, hey, let's be drunk right now. And so we get out, and we are drunk. I'm falling all over the place. I'm like, oh man, we're trying to have fun. We're trying to get some food. We're not from here, man. We're blah, blah, blah. And we're just going to town. And I'm like trying to slobber a little bit. So I'm like shooting spit out of the side of my mouth. Just kind of play the part. And my partner at the time, he's little. So he like falls into me and I fall into him. And we start hitting on her. And she's just like, oh, y'all want to party? Like, y'all come on. I got a house up here. Y'all just get on over here and follow me, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, okay. We get in the car, I'm like, let's go. And we get to following her, and she goes through this like camper site, where they park the campers and stuff like that. And people are living out there, they're not camping. This is like their home. So we're driving through there. We get to the top, and there's like some little houses up there at the top of this hill. She was up there, her dock and boat and all that was in the lake. So there was a long stairs that went out to that. But we get there, and we all get out. We're all acting the part, and we leave. Our other buddy, he stayed outside, and because he was an idiot, he would have blown everything that we were trying to do. So he stayed outside and just kind of chilled by the car. We go in, and we're talking, we're going through stuff. We're trying to find an address, a mail, something, so we're keeping her attention while the rest of us are like rummaging through stuff. So we get out there on the dock, and we're talking to her, and she's like, yeah, my boyfriend will be here in a minute. And then I look over at my partner and he starts smiling. I'm like, oh man, is he cool? Like, was he gonna have some party favors? Like, what's going on? Blah, blah, blah. We're all just throwing in on this party. I'm about to go swimming. And it's kind of cold, so I don't want to go swimming, but I'm like, I'll go swimming. I'm about to go swimming, just kind of play that out. And she's like, no, let's go up to the house. Let's wait on him. He's gonna be here, and then we'll ride down, to another friend of ours and have some fun. Well, he never showed, so we left. And we went down the road. We met up with a county deputy. Was talking to him, and he was like, oh, if you can get him, get him. Because we want him too, like, get him. So we're like, well, we're undercover right now, we can't do that. We're not police, so we can't just go do police stuff like that. But we can play the part. Let's go take her to Alabaster, because that's where her other house is. Like, her actual house, her parents' house is in Alabaster. That's where she lives. She just parties down there. So we roll up, and we got our badges on and stuff and all that. We're looking official. And we knock on the door, and she's like looking at us going, I know y'all. And she's like, yeah, we was here last night. We was partying. She was like, oh, you? I was like, yeah, well, let's go find your boyfriend. Let's go do that. She gets in the car, we go to Alabaster. She talks him in. Finally, after hours of us staking this house out with 2 of our guys inside with her, he shows up. And when he shows up, it was like an apocalypse. Everybody came out. Alabaster came out, Shelby County came out, like everybody just swarmed into this one. You would think Osama bin Laden was in that house. It was wild, the wildest thing I've ever seen in my life. But somebody kneed him in the face. I'm not gonna say who, but somebody needed him, and he come out, he was bloody as hell. But that was a $50,000 bond right there too. So as a bondsman, because we're bail bondsmen before we're bounty hunters, right? So we're bail bondsmen before we're bounty hunters. We're only bounty hunters after the bail bonding part is done. Now, if another bondsman calls us, then we're just strictly recovery agents. Retrieval experts, as I like to say it. But when you go out on bond, like say if you was a bondsman and you had this man out on $50,000, you would pay me $5,000 to go get him, right? If I had him out on bond and for $50,000, I would just save $50,000. So when you go bond somebody out, my favorite analogy, and people understand, is think of it as I'm going to the jail and I'm writing them a check for $50,000. And I'm handing it to the jail with my name and my stamp on it. I hand it to them, assuring you're going to go to court and you're going to do everything you're supposed to do. Now, if you don't, they're going to send me a letter saying, hey, I'm about to cash this $50,000 check if you don't produce this man here. So I have to go find you and bring you back, then they give me my check back, right? And if I don't, they're going to throw that in the bank and it's going to pull out of mine. And that's money out of my pocket I don't get back, right? It's still back in the day, back in the Western days, wanted dead or alive. Now it's called by any means necessary. They just changed the wording. It's all the same thing. But we do have rules and regulations now, which is good. I've been waiting on them to do that forever, because it was the Wild West out here. Like everybody was kicking in doors and just doing all this stupid stuff. I stepped back. I was like, I ain't gonna be no part of this. So I quit for a long time. People were blowing my phone up, but man, I need this guy. Like, sorry for you. And then they finally got a board, and I'm excited about this board that they got, because now we have rules. We have somebody to ask questions, somebody be like, hey, look, I want to do this. Is it okay? Yeah or no? That sort of thing. We have backing now. We're not guessing. I like that. I like structure. It makes everything work better.
What are some of the most important things they need to know?
Can you tell if somebody's lying? Can you tell if somebody's going to be hostile? Can you keep a situation calm? The calmest person in the room is the smartest person in the room. So if you go into a situation ready to fight everybody, you're going to get your ass whooped. If you go into a situation thinking you're about to save everybody's life, you're about to make this man's life better, you're about to solve this problem for him, you're about to help his family out to where he's not getting screwed over and being in prison forever. You're about to solve this problem. And you go in as a friend or a friendly stranger, smooth as hell. You got to be able to read body language, be attentive. You gotta know how to handle yourself, obviously. Because everybody wants to do it. Everybody thinks it's this big gravy job and all this. We're gonna kick in doors. We're gonna chase people down. We're gonna run through the streets. Sorry, bro. No, you're not. The main part of this job is 98% investigation. You gotta know how to find somebody That's it. And then you got like 1% of door kicking. And then you got 1% of chasing. Everything else, if you do your job right, you'll never have to do that. I've been doing this job since I was in my late teens, and I probably pulled my weapon twice, and I'm 36 years old. That's it. You know, you go, because there's always another day. If I go to your house, like say there's a guy, murder, rape, you know, whatever, call it whatever you want. There's a guy, very dangerous guy. You know, we know he's probably going to fight. He knows he's going to jail forever. He ain't getting out. Do you think he's going to willingly come with us? No. So I will go in there with a bottle of whiskey and a 6-pack of beer. I'll go in there with that. Knock on the door. He answers. I'm like, hey, bro, you're going to prison forever. But we got all day to get you there. I want your last day to be smooth. You want to get some drugs, like do whatever you want to do before we get there, because you will never do it again. And I will sit there, I'll take time out of my day, because this is the last time anyone will ever see this man on the outside. And we'll take our day, and it's all about people pleasing and stuff, like keeping it calm, because when I do that, he'll automatically have respect. I'm like, appreciate that, man, because I'm going to get caught regardless. I appreciate you doing it this way. And I've done it like that many times, and it has always went smooth. So when you want to do this, you got to learn how to do that. You got to learn how to be a people person and stuff. You know, you got to learn how to read folks. You know, if there's kids, if there's a very dangerous individual, and you know there's gonna be a fight, and there's children there, always another day. You ain't got to get them that day. Stake it out like you're supposed to. It's your job. And everybody's got, you ain't nobody gonna live in a house forever and they ain't never gonna leave. You gotta go to the store, cigarettes, booze, food, you know, they're gonna leave. And if they don't, cut the power to the house. Let them come out to figure it out, what's going on, and then snatch it. But don't just go kicking in a door of the house. That's how kids get killed. That's how other people get killed, innocent folks. That's how it goes crazy.
When did you realize that you got to be a people person?
The day I got my whooped. That's when I knew that this ain't working. Because I went in at a very young age in Mississippi, Meridian, Mississippi, matter of fact. At a very young age, after, I don't know what he was actually charged with. I know it wasn't nothing, no traffic stuff. It was district, it was something heavy. But I don't remember what it is, but I just remember going in, and my mentor at the time, the guy that I was doing it with, was huge. Dude looked like Iron Man and Hulk put together, like dude was just big. And he was older man too, he's probably in his 50s, 60s, but he did not give a damn. And I'm used to watching him just sling people around, you know, so I'm thinking, well, this is how it's done. So my little thought I could do it. And man, when I went in and I grabbed him by the arm and he yanked me around and just started whooping my ass, I was like, obviously I'm not doing this again. And ever since then, I've never done it that way, and I've always been successful.